Hello, good evening. You're tuned in to GSJ Family Life Center. Our show is All Hands on Deck. And you know, our usual host is Reverend Ira J. Ackrey. And he's mending, and he'll be well, and he'll be back, and he'll be back stronger than ever. And so we're delighted that he's asked us to fill in. Marshall Hatch, glad to be here on another Tuesday. And I have a powerful guest and friend and neighbor of many years with me. She is the state representative of the 78th Representative District in the state of Illinois and does such a fantastic job. None other than State Representative Camille Lilly.
Thank you, Reverend Hatch.
Yes.
I am so happy to be here, and this is my first, so however I can be of assistance and serving, I am here.
Well, we are glad to have you here, and it means so much, especially when you have elected officials who do all that they can to try to get information out to the people and serve the people. And so we're delighted to be here with Representative Lilly. Again, you are tuned in to All Hands on Deck, GSJ Family Life Center. You see our call-in number today, 312-738-1060. Listen, so glad again to have Representative Lilly. Tell us a little bit about the 78th Representative District. I hear that's a very diverse district.
It is, and thank you for asking, Reverend Hatch. It is the most diverse district, I believe, in the state of Illinois, and that's my own personal opinion. However, we represent 108,796 citizens in the 78th district. And by community, we represent Austin, the north part of Austin.
It's the far west side, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
the furthest part of Chicago.
Yes.
And then we move west into the western suburb, representing Oak Park, Elmwood Park, River Grove, Franklin Park, and a little bit of Melrose Park.
So you're city and suburban.
I am.
Wow,
I am.
that's interesting.
Which makes it very, very unique, and I'm actually honored to serve some of the best citizens in our great state. And mind you, you are part of the 78th
I
district.
am
You live in the 78th
a constituent. Yeah, that's right, and it is a very diverse area and very interesting. And I imagine that you have to really be sort of flexible to represent so many different kinds of people, cities, suburban, all kind of income levels, and the work that you do to bring people together.
It's so right, so true. And I would like to start with, I'm very honored. I'm very honored to meet such diverse citizens of our great state. And we're dealing with seniors and youth and persons with income and persons with no income. We have veterans. We have culturally diverse backgrounds. I get to go into communities where I can use my little bit of Spanish and my little bit of como se llama, exactly. And just really get to celebrate the diversity in cultures. And I do participate in those events and activities that just expose me to what I would say are just good people.
Okay. Well, in your work in Springfield, can you kind of share with us a little bit of some of the work that you're doing? Again, you are tuned in to the GSJ Family Life Center. Your normal host is Reverend Ira Ackrey. I'm Marshall Hatch, filling in for Reverend Ackrey. Our call-in number is 312-738-1060. As you can see, the GSJ Family Life Center is at 1215 North on Waller, and you see the telephone number there. And so that, of course, is sponsor of our show. You were talking about the 78th and your work in Springfield. What are some of the kind of things that you're working on now?
Well, one of the things that I'm really paid attention to, I get a number of calls from constituents and families and youth just about their needs. And what I realized when I first came into the legislature is that a lot of people do not know the services that the state offers. They have no idea what they are, where they are, and how to access them.
What kinds of services?
the state of Illinois has services for seniors, has services for veterans, have services for housing needs, and most people just have these issues within their households, within their family, and struggle with trying to figure out how to get better.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just now realizing that when there's nowhere else to go, they will call their legislator.
Okay.
So I get a number of calls into the district, the 78th district, to how can you help me with housing? Can you help me with my child that's in prison? Can you help me with my senior services? Can you help me with my veteran skilled nursing home services?
I think that's incredible.
And the state has these services.
Now, let me just say this. You've been a state representative for several years now. And sometimes people don't even know the kinds of things that a state representative does and the kind of things that they can offer. And even if that's not handled directly in your office, because as an elected official, you kind of have relationships up and down the line, you can help direct people even when they are not directly helped out of your office.
That is correct. We really try to be the connector at all governmental levels for our constituents that just really reaches out to us. With that being said, I did bring into the office, my district office, a social worker who can assist in making sure that those connects are made. It makes a difference when you know of someone who knows how to access services.
Let me get this right. You have a social worker on your staff working in the office.
I
because do. when you say constituent services, you mean trying to help people with whatever needs they may have.
Exactly.
Not just what state government may or may not do.
To say the least. And it made more sense for the diverse community that I represent to have that type of resource available to the people of the 78th district.
Yes.
With that, it really made a difference when you are accessible.
Yes.
And that individual...
like being here today.
Exactly.
I told you she was fantastic. Yeah.
Well, thank you. So it just is exciting when they call you back and they say, thank you, that was very helpful and my needs were met.
Yes.
So the state of Illinois, we don't do the best in making sure people know where they can go for services. And we have to do better at that. Actually, the first year I got in, I created what is titled ambassadors. And these ambassadors are individuals within the state departments that are there for the districts to make sure that when a call comes in, that person's needs and services are given. And basically, it made a difference because within the departments, they really didn't know what each other was doing and how to access each other's services. Right?
Yeah.
So those ambassadors knew everything and know everything. So it was a pilot project actually up under Governor Quinn at the time. And we started in the Human Services.
Is Governor Quinn also a constituent?
He is.
This is the state representative for the former governor of Illinois.
Exactly. And so I told you I had some great...
It's a great community.
It's just awesome. And I'm honored to be representing them as well. So these are the kinds of connects that are important, particularly during these trying times in our country.
Yes.
People, unemployment, even though our unemployment rate is going in a better direction, trending in a better direction, people are still in need of how to get their needs met through government services.
We want to thank State Representative Camille Lilly for being with us here today. You're tuned in to All Hands on Deck. I want to say Sister Beauty is in the house. She's on the phones ready. Our call-in number, hey Beauty, our call-in number is 312-738-1060. And again, we are sponsored by GSJ Family Life Center, 773-378-3300, 1256 North Waller. And of course, our hearts and minds and prayers are with our friend and brother, the one and only Reverend Ira J. Ackrey. is on the mend, and he's going to get better.
We miss you, Reverend Ackley. We're looking forward to coming back. You have a great fill-in.
And we're going to hold it down together. I got Camille here, I'm here, Beauty is here. We'll hold down the fort till you get back.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will.
You are tuned in to All Hands on Deck. And again, we're here with State Representative Lilly. It was very interesting. We were having a conversation offline, and you were talking about how, parts of the district you're representing people who are city workers, some of them former city workers, and there was a time that person kind of feel like if they had a government job, they made a great living. Of course, all of us know governments are having a lot of budget constraints nowadays. And of course, these jobs don't necessarily mean what they used to mean, and you kind of get to see up close how a lot of our families are really struggling because, incomes have stagnated, and the kind of sensitivity it takes to understand that. I mean, working families are sometimes not eligible for poverty programs. They certainly are not rich, and so they're in between, and it becomes very difficult for families to make it.
And you're absolutely correct. We, in the past or in the history of Illinois and our country, the middle class meant something, and everyone understood what that meant. And that term is very vague these days. Mm-hmm. So I use the term, we have the working class. And the working class who are no longer eligible for some of the state benefits or the government benefits, but yet they don't have enough to meet the cost of all the other facets of life that they are trying to attain, from sending their child to college, from child care. The $1, the working dollar that they are obtaining is just not enough. Mm-hmm. So we have to collectively recognize that, and we have to create policies and create reform some policies and some practices that are putting stresses on that population.
And somehow try to figure out how to help families. I mean, we want to help everybody. Certainly we want to put the needs of the poor first. Mm-hmm. But in many ways, it is also people who are working every day and really just still struggling to make it. And we need to focus on those families. And you've got a lot of those kind of families that you have to represent.
We do. And as I mentioned, it's 108,796 people that reside
108,796.
Wow. And I like to say that because a lot of people don't know what a state representative,
mm-hmm.
who they are, what they do. And in a nutshell, I like to give you that, something that I like to tell people. We do three things.
Yeah.
One, we make law that some people abide by and some people break. But we make law, we establish budget for our state, and we advocate for the services that the citizens are in need of. So that's basically what we do.
Now that middle one you mentioned, mm-hmm. about establishing budget, I think all of us know that Illinois is in a real crisis state, mm-hmm. because we've been a year without a budget. If you can kind of maybe give us some insight on some of the things that are going on in Springfield. People are hurting real bad, and the problem is that the folks at the bottom, we're hurting the most. We have this kind of conflict.
The most vulnerable population has been left out of the activities and the formulas in the FY16.
Mm-hmm.
And we legislators are going back down to Springfield to make sure that doesn't happen again. I like to tell everyone that we did our work. We did submit a full budget to our governor to sign so that we can really keep our state afloat to address the needs that are coming forth. What he could have done, he could have vetoed, line item by line of the things that he felt we just couldn't afford to do. But he vetoed the entire budget, which caused a flux in what we're going to be doing for FY16. So we came back, we went into continuous session, and we came back week after week and put policies together and law together to make sure the state was still operational. Mm-hmm. So we didn't have what we call a full operational budget, but we did have our schools working, we have our prisons working, we have our universities intact, we have our child care.
I think we got a caller. Mm-hmm. So Beauty, let's hear from the caller.
Oh yes, hello. How are you guys doing this evening?
Super.
Yeah, well, I just came in basically in the middle, and I was flipping through my channels, and I just kind of caught my eye here, and I just wanted to get a little info. I didn't know I was going to be talking. I'm looking at the TV now, but I guess you guys on mute here, and I was just trying to find out basically what do your program provide. I see it's got the Family Life Center there. And I know my stepdaughter, she's kind of going through a little something. Everybody's dealing with a little something.
Yes, sir.
And I thought about her when I saw this, so I'm just calling to get some basic information about what your center provides.
Thank you so much for calling. We appreciate you for tuning us in, and of course, the caller mentions the GSJ Family Life Center, which is at 1256 North on Waller, and this is the telephone number 773-378-3300. I happen to know that I know they have a summer program there, feeding breakfast and lunch for school-age children. They're, of course, one of the safe haven sites for students, and they do a myriad of things there. I think it is probably best to call that number again, 773-378-3300, to call just to find out if there's any specific service there. Or you can always call the office of the State Representative Camille Lilly. Can you give us the telephone number there?
Sure. Our number is 773-473-7300. And we have an array of information on services for youth. And I personally have what I call a gathering. I have a I'm 17 gathering, and I'm going to be 17 gathering.
I wish I was 17 again. I'm sorry to cut in there.
well, they do bring you back to when you were 17. We would like you to come and
17-year-olds.
And it's a time in a child's life or a youth life where they're making some critical decisions. And so their voices need to be heard, and we need to be able to connect them to resources that they are pondering or that they may be in need of.
Mm-hmm.
So 17 is critical.
That's
and then
good.
the I'm going to be 17 is for those younger persons, 10 to 16. Well, they want to be 17, but they're not there yet. And we're addressing their activities and some of their voices. It's time to really hear the voice of our youth. They're calling out in so many ways, and we need to be there for them in the good times and in the bad times. And our I'm 17 gathering is a good time.
All right. Thank you again, State Representative Lilly. You're tuned in to All Hands on Deck. Again, we have another caller, and we'd like to hear from that caller at this time.
Representative, can you somehow convince me? I understand Benjamin Franklin said a long time ago, depending on property tax to finance schooling is a good thing to do. Now, if I'm living in a $400,000 home, and I'm living, when you're living in something like that, you're paying for parks and good schools and fire and police department and good sewage as well. Now, if I'm living in a $400,000 home and say, for instance, my school district able to pay, educate my sixth grader like $30,000 a year. Now, how are you going to tell me I'm paying my taxes? If I'm buying steak, I want steak. I don't want neck bone. How can you tell me that my school district is going to get little bit less money to take care of some other district?
Okay, thank you so much, caller, and it's a great question and a great call. I think the caller is interested in what a lot of folks are talking about these days, and that's equitable funding in education, and somehow narrowing that disparity between what rich districts get and spend per child versus poor children in their districts, when all of the students have to take the same tests and be similarly competitive. And so how can we talk about fair and equitable school funding?
What we're debating, and it seems to be a good time to talk about it, is the formula, the school formula, how we are funding our schools. And before I go there, I am down in Springfield on a daily basis preaching, Pastor, that we should fund education as our #1 priority for the state of Illinois. If we did that, it would fix all other issues that are across the state. And it wouldn't pose questions and concern as the caller has put forth. We are funding education where it's equitable, and it is it brings the education that all students in Illinois would have. If we do not educate our youth in our state, who's going to do it?
And the state constitution suggests that
Exactly.
the state's primary should be the primary funder of education, and only the state can help to narrow that gap of disparity between the rich and the poor districts. So I agree with you. It's a number one issue.
It's the number one issue, and the formula that he's speaking to does create, I would say, reallocation of funds. And some schools will get less, and some schools will get more. But the formula really is to address the poorest schools
Sure.
that were not living up to the standard of the educations of many wealthier schools, and they need to be brought. That's a moral issue, as you missed.
And they may need more.
And may need more.
If
So
you're
the
poor.
formula addresses that issue.
Yeah.
So I understand the passion of the caller. I respect the passion of the caller, and we are looking at a number of proposals that are on the table that does not cause detriment to the educational system across the state. But we must look at that formula and change it.
I mean, it's great, and we appreciate. It's been called, the number one civil rights issue of our time.
It is
a high quality education for every child. We run out of a little time here, and I want to go ahead. I want to shift focus a little bit.
With that being said, that I've put in place, because of that issue, an education task force, and our first meeting is June 27, this month.
Where?
It's going to be at the Austin Library on Race.
By my house.
Yes, it's in the 78th district. 5600 on Race. It's the Austin Library, where we are going to break out into groups to talk about how we can address the caller's concern and how we can impact or have input on the proposals that are on the table.
That's on Monday.
Monday, June 27th.
Just to shift focus with this little time that we have left, you wear a lot of hats and fulfill a lot of roles in the community. One of them, in addition to being a state representative, you've also been affiliated with Loretto Hospital, which has been a mainstay institution in Austin for years. People depend on for a lot of services. Tell us a little bit about what's happening at Loretto.
Thank you, Reverend Hatch. I've been at Loretto for going on 25 years, and as External Affairs and Development Vice President. And it has been a joy to be a part of the solutions to the issues that are in the Austin community or the communities that we serve with healthcare needs. And with some of that, we deal with our seniors. We have a senior program where we're in the Austin Senior Satellite every week providing health and education. We are what we just put in place, what we call an on-the-block program. On every block, during the summer month, we go to the block clubs and we provide education and information to make people well and to teach them how to access. We also have established a Loretto Hospital Youth Health Council, where young people to learn about health careers, civic engagement, their health and wellness, their own fitness. They really have an opportunity to do the Toastmasters. The first, we're going to establish a Toastmaster, youth
That's
Toastmaster. It's a
bureau.
speaker, so they can come to this program and speak out what their concerns
Eloquently.
are. Eloquently. So these are the kinds of programs and services. We just did a benefit concert. A coalition of youth organization, Loretto, underwrote their fundraiser, where they raised they raised enough money to employ for the summer 75 youth.
Okay.
And we showcased local talent. We call it a tribute to other legends. And we showcased our local talents who give tribute to our legends, that have gone on, but left us with what I would call golden nuggets to remember in their songs. And it was an awesome day. So Loretto is making a difference. We just did a ribbon cutting today of our new cafeteria that is open to the public.
Wow.
So we have good food, fresh food.
Give us that address one time.
645 South Central, Loretto Hospital. We have a large electronic sign, digital sign.
Right off the expressway.
Right outside and we're right there. And we're the only hospital remaining in the Austin community, which is the largest community in the city of Chicago, and we're the largest non-governmental employer.
Well, let me tell you something. Representative Lilly has been a wealth of information, and we appreciate her coming in. We appreciate her work, and we appreciate her coming to share with this audience today. You have been tuned in to All Hands on Deck. Usually in this seat is Reverend Ira J. Ackery, but Marshall Hatcher, been your host, and he is on the mend. Remember the GSJ Family Life Center. Our number is 773-378-3300, and be sure to tune in at 4:30 on next week. We'll be back again with another installment of All Hands on Deck. Good information for the community. Have a good one. Enjoy yourself. Have a good night.